Welcome. Welcome to today's session. We are opening here now this year's BXC conference. We are delighting to celebrate acupuncture in this conference, especially our profession. And this is going to be a celebration over the next 2 days. I'm really looking forward to hear about the many aspects of our profession assembled in this conference. We've just had a wonderful celebration of movement with Zen Yu, and we will very shortly hear more about the great diversity of acupuncture. But first of all, we will hear about the European Traditional Chinese Medicine Association, the ETCMA. In fact, Ricardo Teixeira is joining us from Portugal. He will be speaking about the ETCMA. Ricardo is an acupuncturist, and he is a member of the ETCMA Executive Committee. He's head of the Advocacy Committee. Before we start with that, just a few things about the conference. Please use your handbook where you find information about all the speakers and of course about the schedule. Please keep your microphone off. And yeah, you can put questions into the chat box. I would also, before we start, like to thank the BXC's Learning and Events Manager, Helen Gibb. She has put together this wonderful program together with the staff team and many BXC members. And I would like to especially thank our headline sponsor, Sue Wen Herbs, and our additional sponsor, the Northern College of Acupuncture. Without their sponsorship, this conference wouldn't be able to happen. So I think that is all I need to tell you. There is just an apology I have to make. Apparently, not everybody was able to join from the start for the movement exercises. That was due to some technical issues, and I'm very sorry about this. I think they should have been resolved by now. So welcome, Ricardo, to our conference. I leave it to you to give your introduction about yourself. Over to you.
Thank you, Pia, and thank you for especially Ellen, Pia, and all of the wonderful team of the British Acupuncture Council for the opportunity to talk a little bit about ETCMA. For us, it's very important to talk on this conference. BXC is one of the founding members of ETCMA, and we are going to celebrate our 20th anniversary next year. So for us, it's very important to do this kind of work and to be present here on a theme of a Congress that I think is very important, the way that we celebrate our profession, the way that we give voice to our work, and to show a little bit what we can do and the diversity that is in all of the people that do a lot of work as an acupuncture, as herbs, Qigong, like we saw it before. So this is very important to do this kind of work. So I think you are seeing my screen. Yes, Pia? Yeah, okay.
Yes, fine.
Okay, ETCMA, let's talk a little bit about presenting ETCMA. We represent around 32 professional societies. So not only societies of TCM, it's acupuncture, some societies of Qigong, some societies that are mainly based on herbs, but also we have society members that are medical doctors, others that are non-medical doctors. So ETCMA, in a way, try to connect every society. So we have a vision and a flag that most of the societies can relate to, and this is a wonderful way to work together for a common goal. We have 22 countries, 21 European countries and Israel. So it's like a little bit like Eurovision. We have Israel also be part of ETCMA. 12,000 members, individual members from each society, and we are just focused on professionals. So we are not counting on students, retired, or other members of the societies. You only count people that are working, they are professionals, and they are part of ETCMA. We have 11 MOU partners. So what we try to do is we created a network of memorandums of understanding in a way for us to understand what is happening around the world, to have a vision of what we can do to help other countries to work. So we have MOUs with Canada, with the US, with Australia, New Zealand. We are currently trying to find partners also in Africa. So at the moment is the only country, only continent that we don't have an MOU partnered until this end of the year. I'm trying to have that connections also. So this network is huge and is growing. And I believe that this is one of the ways to see if the society is alive, is that we have a lot of members every year that want to be part of, a lot of societies that want to be part of ETCMA, and that is very important for us. We are also proud members of EuroCam and WAFAS, WAFAS, yes. So the idea behind this is that we are part of EuroCam that is focused on advocacy in the European Parliament. Unfortunately, due to Brexit, we don't have the support of the British societies there in terms of lobbying. So we try to create these synergies with EuroCam and be very active on this. We have a member of the advocacy team that is working with EuroCam directly. So we try to be aware of any directives from Europe, and we try to do lobbying there in order to help us achieve what we want to achieve for our profession. We also are a member of WAFAS with the idea of knowing what is happening also in China and what is the current idea behind all of the things they want to do around the world. So this is one of the reasons we, with other members, societies, and other MOU partners, we normally have meetings before the meetings of the WAFAS, and we try to create projects and ideas, common ideas. So our vision statement is to try to be accepted and integrated in healthcare systems across Europe, and we are working towards that. One of the things that we try to focus on is education, research, raising awareness, and promoting safety, quality, and ethics in practice. So most of the work that we have here is done by task force inside of ETCMA. So at the moment, we have a task force in education, and we are facing and looking at core curriculums. So for us, it's important to have a good education and try to have something that is transversal in terms of number of hours, the kind of lectures that is made. We try to get recognition about lobbying and lobbying for TCM and acupuncture. And one of the things that we try to do is not only in the West and the European continent, but also focusing and around the world. So what we see here is normally we have a kind of meeting every year. We call it the tri-continental meeting. And we try to see what kind of things are happening in different parts of the world. And that's one of the reasons we try to create a strategic plan focused on that. We promote safety. So one of the things that we try to do is to create documents and send it to our members so they can implement and have, in a way, more tools to be more professional, to have the societies more active, to have the societies more engaged with other societies and with the professionals itself. Research, we have now a task force on research, and we are trying to give a different approach to what is normally research. We are trying to create a digested research, let's put it like this. So we want to make it easier for the common practitioner to look at research and to see research. So this is one of the goals that the task force is now focusing on. And of course, we try to have webinars focus on different aspects of advocacy, research, education. And this webinars is a tool for the societies to bring more things to their members. So when we are celebrating our profession, when we are talking about the profession, one of the things that we try to do is the empowerment of the societies in a direct way, also the empowerment of individuals, members. So this is the 4 points that we as ETCMA are focusing now in terms of strategic plan. So when we talk about politics, one of the things that we need to bear in mind is that policymakers, they tend to focus on these 3 pillars: safety, effectiveness, and cost effectiveness. So when we talk about safety, most of the research that we can find says that acupuncture is safe, that you don't have severe adverse effects when you do acupuncture. This is said, for instance, that you have 11 in 4 million procedures of side effects. So it's relative safety. This is a research that came out this month, and our task force, SARI, is going to make an article for our newsletter, so you can read it all about it. So here you can see that the most recent research says that acupuncture is one of the safest methods in medicine. So this is something that we should be proud, and we should focus on, advocate, and show to the world that we do. It's no longer possible to say that acupuncture is not working. The number of research and the number of evidence is amazing. And you can find it here. This is from John McDonald's. I hope he do a refresh on his book about this. And this is the strong evidence that we find about acupuncture for these 8 procedures. When you talk about cost effectiveness, one of the things that we should bear in mind is that in the beginning, it's a little bit more expensive to have acupuncture on the national health system. And then after a few months, it starts to see that it pays off. So it's a little bit more expensive in the beginning because you have to pay the professional itself. And so you have to focus on the starting of all of the procedures. But after a few months, and you have here that after 3 months of treatments on pain, back pain, and neck pain, you have a very big diminish in terms of cost with acupuncture. So again, all of these points is something that we try to highlight and show and use it as an advocacy tool. When you talk about research, it's very important that we know what is happening now, why it's important, and to find a way that it's not something that is difficult to understand or read. So this is one of the focus of ETCMA, is try to create something that is easy to grasp on. So most of the research is done in acupuncture. So this is the point of the iceberg. There's a lot of research done by other parts of the TCM world, but we normally focus on acupuncture. Acupuncture a little bit like the point of the spear. This is from 2021. Again, John McDonald's do a wonderful work about this, and you can see that the clinical trials are every year increasing. And at the moment, we have like 14,000 research made for acupuncture, more than you can find, for instance, for physiotherapy. This is if you go to this page, this is a page that is an open access, and you can see the number of clinical trials or studies that are being made in different areas. And this is not mandatory, so you only put there if you want to. And at the moment, currently, you have 1,086, because I read it today, and you have one more study that is starting about acupuncture. So this is something that also we want to do in ETCMA, is to create on our webpage a point that you can put there your research. And we know that something is being done in Germany, in the UK, in China, and this is a way that we can create synergies in terms of what we are doing in terms of research in acupuncture. So this is very important, this kind of cooperation. Once a researcher said that the diseases of today, the diseases of tomorrow will be decided today. So we need to be aware what we need to do in terms of research and what is our strengths and our handicaps when we look at the treatments that we are doing and the research and the clinical trials. So it's important to focus what we need to do. Another point that we tend to be proud of is education. So this is something that we are also focusing on. We are looking now to the core curriculum. So we don't think about only the basic trainings, but also the continuous education. And this kind of seminars are very important for the practitioners to be aware, to be on top of everything that is new, everything that is changing. And this is very important to have. So if you see most of the research about safety, they always say that for you to have a safety practice, you have to have good levels of education. You have to be very aware of what you are doing. Currently now in Portugal, we have the first, across Europe, we have the first law, CAM law, that recognize acupuncture and also recognize a TCM specialist. So we have a core curriculum that mainly is focused on this kind of main, let's put it, branches of classes. So you can see here that 50-50, they have 50% of Western medicine and 50% of TCM in the course. So this is the kind of, and this is in the law itself. So you can create the course, but you have to bear in mind this kind of credits, and you have to bear in mind the kind of classes that you need to have on your to start the bachelor degree. This is something that we are very proud here in Portugal. We can create this kind of brought us other obstacles, but we have now a profession that is recognized, and you can only work here in Portugal with a license to practice. So all of this is to create what we think is important in terms of ETCMA, is the professional autonomy, is the way that we can put our diagnosis with our knowledge and make the treatment, and in a way explaining and giving the opportunity to us to work as an independent group. And that is something that is sometimes you don't find it. So for us, in order for us to reach that, we have to have good education, we have to have solid research, we have to advocate what we do, the work, what we try to achieve, and of course, to have recognition for the policymakers. So this is the kind of points that we need to have in order to have what we call professional autonomy. And in Portugal, we have something that most of the health professionals don't have, is the professional autonomy. So since 2013, we are responsible for our work as a diagnosis and a treatment. So we are responsible for the basic of our treatments. We don't rely or depend on medical doctors, on nurses, on any other professionals. So this is what you can find on the law written that says traditional Chinese medicine is a therapeutic approach that uses specific prevention methods, diagnosis, prescription, and treatments based on traditional Chinese medicine theories and specific methods. So in a way, we are independent. We can show our work, and we need to be proud of our profession. We need to celebrate our profession. And in a way, I think it's important for us to show that we love to do every day what we do. That's why I'm finished with the saying in Chinese medicine, on Chinese purpose, that says, don't be afraid to stay straight. If you stay straight, don't be afraid of a crooked shadow. Thank you for listening. And I know that it's a little bit boring talking about this kind of thing, but it's important to do this work also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. There is time for questions. If anybody has a question, please put your hand up. I've just seen one question in the chat box. Joanna, would you like to ask a question yourself? You can unmute yourself. or maybe I read it out. Joanna asks, how do you feel Brexit will impact upon lobbying in the EU, and will future lobbying also have to be directed separately to the UK government and Israel to try to maintain consistency? And she says, fantastic that you have achieved professional autonomy in Portugal.
Thank you. So, of course, one of the problems with Europe is that we are very diverse. That's the problem, and we can see that it's going to take some effort and some creativity to do this kind of lobbying around all of the countries itself. We have, I will give you an example. We are struggling, for instance, with in the how you say it, Hungary. They have some problems there with the Chinese because of the COVID. They are saying that the culp is all of the Chinese. So medical doctors there that do acupuncture have been prosecuted, and they are a little bit afraid to show their work. So we try to help them. The same way, for instance, in Spain, you are not allowed to practice as an acupuncture. You are forbidden. They call it pseudoscience. They spend around 4 million euros with advertisements against acupuncture. So what we did on this case, for instance, we supported the local societies. We gave them research. We gave them a place for them to work. And we gave all of the strength of ETCMA in terms of the number of countries. So the same thing could happen in the UK. If something is necessary, ETCMA will help on this aspect. We'll give the necessary back push to the British Acupuncture Society. But in a way, I think that the problem with the UK is that you have a different law from, for instance, in Portugal. You have common law and we have Napoleon law, so it's a little bit different. So all of this kind of little things needs to be very careful and to see how can we do it. But nothing is impossible. And if we work together, and if you see that ETCMA brought a lot of people that have different opinions but have a common goal, we can do it a lot. And like I said, we have to tackle the big problems. We don't have to tackle just the soft ones. And ETCMA is here for any society, and even non-societies of ETCMA we help. This is something that we love to do, our profession. We love to do what we do. And like you are doing now, we have to celebrate. We have to show the world that this is more than just putting needles. You know, there's so much around this, and the people that are working for in this profession. It's like an example. Most of the societies, people are working pro bono. So imagine the strength that we have and that we have now to work pro bono in a society, to work, to go on our own expenses to meetings, to try to change things for the better. So this is something that we want to do. And I know that inside of the British Acupuncture Council, you have a lot of good people and very smart people that will find a way to work together with us and try to change a few things there.
There was a question, how much can the ETCMA help the BXC get state regulation in the UK?
Yeah, that's a big question. One of the things that I hope the British Acupuncture Council can do is to take a look, even if it's academic point of view, of the situation in Portugal, and to see how can it be applied there. So I don't say that our law is perfect, far from that, but it is a well thought law, and it's taking into consideration not only the people that are going to be the future acupuncturists, but also are taking a look at the common practice of today. So people that are working more than 30, 40 years don't have a bachelor degree to stand on because they have masters in the past. So all of that was taken into account when we started the law. That's why you have the grandfather clause. So all of that as an example it should be something that the British Acupuncture Council even in general assemblies to talk with everyone there and try to see what is the best way to go forward.
Thank you. Yes. I think Ian Appleyard has got a question. Ian.
I do. I'll unmute and appear, I think, hopefully. Great. Hello, yes. Ricardo. I have a question. I'm quite interested in how we, let's say, counteract so-called skeptic organizations. I think in some senses, as you say correctly, that the evidence is there. It's very strong in certain conditions. And my sense, what holds us back is kind of how well that is known within mainstream healthcare professions, within political parties, within the civil service of different countries. And I feel that the skeptic organizations do a very good job of linking between their websites to sort of promote a relatively simple narrative. Acupuncture doesn't work, or acupuncture is just a placebo. It's all mumbo jumbo, and keep those lines. I just wonder how you felt we can engage in that or counteract it in some way.
Okay, so thank you for the question. So one of the things that I did, and it was creating an advocacy toolkit. And the advocacy toolkit was to show how can we work as in a formal general way for our professionals and for our societies. So the question is very simple, it's very complicated, and in the same way, it's also very simple to approach. But the problem is that we don't have the strength they have. So let's give you an example. How many researchers do we have on our side when we tackle things, for instance, in television and media? How many researchers? We don't have many. That the reason is that they don't want to put their livelihood, their money that what they receive from universities on check, go and appear in front of cameras saying that here is the research, here is all the things that is against. Because most of the skeptics that you talk have big branches in terms of influence, and that will change. For instance, I can say it here in Portugal, we have a bachelor's degree in acupuncture, only 4 schools. And some of the schools that didn't have and wanted to open faced the problem with the medical society saying, if you open there, we'll close some doors in the hospitals for your internships. So they try to work like this. So my point of view and the things that I think is important is inside of the societies, you always have not the one that knows more, but a charismatic person. You need to have someone that engages the public. Because if you have the opinion of the public, you have the opinion of the policymakers. This is one of the things that we did here in Portugal. We went to the street, we did petitions, we marched to the parliament, we sent a lot of things, we try to engage the public, because in the last point that we want to make to the policymakers is, there's too many people doing acupuncture, there's too many people doing herbs, so don't you think it's necessary to regulate? Don't you think it's necessary to have something to protect the public? Because if not, someone will buy a book of acupuncture and the next day will open a clinic. So that creates the lobbying that we try to do. And one of the things that made was we are now a health profession. And that is something that is difficult for some people, because one of the problems that you find is, for instance, our law says that you cannot practice in herbal shops. You have to practice on a clinic facility. You have to pay to agencies of the state because you're now regulated. So that increase the money that you need to pay as a practitioner. So some people don't like this. We have an insurance that is 150,000 euros in terms of a medical doctor only have to have an insurance of 50,000. So it's like this. But again, for us to get going forward is focus on education, try to promote not what skeptics says, try to promote what we do. Australian did a lovely work on this. They created a few ads to pass on different schedules of the time and not focus on the skeptics, just focus on education, saying we have good education, we are working towards this. to create someone that is very charismatic, and when he goes to TV, when he goes to other places, to focus on what he wants to say and not disperse about what all of the other people said. And try to create research easier for the practitioner. Try to create research that don't say, oh, we have a lot of research. No, let's say it. Let's say that we have research on this case, on that case. And another aspect that's very important, and this is something that I always said during COVID, try to maintain outside of Facebook and social media saying that we cure everything. We have always a few people that goes there and I do acupuncture and I do everything. And that will, in the end, reach out to all of acupuncture, and we'll feel that. We'll feel that person because it's going to be attacked. And we notice here in Portugal, we have 3 cases of people that went to court because of the skeptics, because they say things online. And they grab that and they say, see, all of the acupuncturists are bad. Look at this. Look at what they say. So this is something that we need to be aware.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. I think we will have to move on, but many thanks for your talk. It has raised a lot of thinking and really given us a great overview over the ETCMA. Thank you.
Thank you.